It's the 366th episode of the Unranked podcast. That's right. It makes this our 6th year still currently, but I would count this as so we're already far into the series of the show. We'll call this consecutive series 2, consecutive year 2. So now you can listen to episodes 1 to 365 for a year straight. You just go one a day, and now we're starting year 2. So we'll see you in another 365 days. I am, of course, Christian Humes, and we have today with us Thomas Caswell, GameSpot extraordinaire. How you doing?
Up. It's just so funny. I'm thinking back. We have done so much of the podcast. We're nearing episode 400. That's wild. Wolf's Lore is in the chat. Thank you. He says we're looking beautiful. I appreciate that. I appreciate the lie. I really, really thank you so much. Yeah, it's nuts. I was just thinking, two people on this week, 2 people on last week, but the days of Tommy the Flake are long in the past. So yeah, good to be here. Good to be
here. I forgot that was a nickname for you.
Because I was young, I was wild and free. I just moved to the city,
I would love to see like Tom from 2016 talk to Tom for 2023 for like 5 minutes.
There is this. You probably if you are on, I imagine if you are on TikTok for more than a second, and maybe you've seen these guys, Chris. There's a couple, like a man and a woman in their like mid to late 30s, who do like couples TikToks of like funny skits. But these guys are like big ones. Like they have huge following. I don't know their names.
Okay.
But they look cool. The guy kind of has like I don't pay any attention.
No.
The only one's name I know are the McFarlanes, which is like the dad one. Have you seen? This is the one where it's like the guy and his dad, and he's like, it's all a bunch of like dad jokes. So it's like when the dad at the Home Depot has to ask for help. So it's like the dad.
That does sound funny.
It's like the guy and his dad is in Home Depot, and it's like when your dad has to ask for help in Home Depot, and the dad goes up to the person who works at Home Depot and is like, "Excuse me, sir, do you know where the 3.5-inch screws are?" And the Home Depot worker goes, "Everyone, look, this dad doesn't know where the 3.5-inch screws are." And everyone in the store is like pointing and laughing at him, and he's like panicking. They're called the McFarlanes. They do great content.
I thought you were going to talk about the kid and his dad, where he goes treating my dad like he's a teenager, and he just starts yelling at his dad doing shit that like a teenager would get yelled at for, but then his dad always just like throws shit at him and comes after him immediately, like he's about to be like destroyed.
That one has yet to grace my For You page.
Yeah.
But there's this one that's couples. The guy has like kind of like peppered hair. Woman is brunette with like long hair, and a video that I saw earlier today was actually a skit where it was them, but if they met themselves in that, like if they try to go to brunch with their 20-year-old counterparts and like trying to like live that life. So yeah, it would be to tell myself like 5 years ago, hey, you were going to have a huge adversity to the idea of going out on a Friday night. Also COVID happened, like that was a thing. So yeah, it would be an interesting moment. I would love to do that. That would be good.
Yeah, it would be a good time and frustrating, I bet. Tom, let's hop into today's Pokemon. It's 366th Pokemon. We finished an evolution line last week, so we're starting
no more Woolrai
this week. Yeah, no more. Today's Pokemon is Clamperl.
No, yeah. I was gonna say iconic, but only in the way that it's like I knew immediately what it looks like.
Sure,
it's not iconic, but it's cool. It's cool.
It's interesting. I mean, it starts out immediately. Obviously,
would it be in my
just Cloyster or Shelter? Like that's basically what it looks like.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't be in your 6 because you can't get this Pokemon until you get Dive, I believe, which is like towards the late game. You're not throwing Clamperl in your party. It's just a straight water type, and then evolving it's actually difficult. So it's probably not one you're gonna put in your party.
Clamperl just sounds dirty.
A little bit. I mean, so where do you think the name comes from?
I'm thinking it may come from the words clam and Pearl.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, Tom. It's
Clammy. No, it's clammy because it's quite moist in there. And
it's a
Pearl,
portmanteau.
it was meant to be peel, like peeling an onion, but they accidentally misspelled it, and then they just left it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so here's the interesting thing about this Pokemon. It does seem like it's just going to be like Shelder and Cloyster.
Sure.
It's actually a part of the same grouping, as far as like the type of Pokemon.
The clam grouping.
I think it's like a bivalent shell Pokemon or something like that. Is actually what it's
Bivalent
considered.
bond. Okay.
So here's what's interesting about it. Is
Yeah.
when it evolves, it makes you relook at the Pokemon. So we're not going to talk about the evolutions today, of course, but this is a Pokemon that has two different options for evolutions. They're both trade item evolutions, which is a little bit of a headache, but also it's like, more interesting to have some of those. It's the only Pokemon, I believe, actually, that evolves trading holding one of two items. I don't think there's any other. I believe that's correct. I do have this down as a fact. It might be maybe in a more recent game that changed, but I believe that is the case where you have one Pokemon, you give it two different items, and then there's no other evolution lines. So when that happens, both of the evolutions are like fish. Neither of them are
clams
or any kind of mollusk, or not even like art. There's no shell really on them. Other than like tiny little shells, like on one of them, but it's not anything similar. So then you have to relook at it and wonder, oh, is the actual living thing the sort of pearl on the inside, and is that not actually a pearl? Is it like one of these nature fake outs where that's a fish egg? And so there's like a fish Pokemon, its evolution, which lays its egg inside these clams, and that's how you get the clam pearls. And then it evolves back into the fish when it eventually like hatches. It's sort of the idea that you're going with there. And that does make it interesting, because otherwise it would just be a Shelder or a Cloyster. And once you see its evolution, you're like, okay, this is something fucking weird's happening here, because that is not.
Well, this has got me asking the question of like, what is a pearl? Is it some kind of like calcium buildup?
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
I never really thought about it before. I was just like, oh, that's where they come from. But yeah, it's like some kind of, and it's like, it's a
buildup of minerals that they form.
Do they have to like smooth it?
It's like kidney stones almost.
Okay. Oh, for the clam.
Yeah.
But do they have to like do anything to it, or is it it is like the ball? It is in ball form.
I believe it is, but I'll be honest.
That's
I don't
crazy.
know.
I'm gonna have to look that up later.
I don't know the answer.
Or Wolfslaw, if you're still here live, we'll if you could look that up for us, that'd be great. Thank you.
So yeah, I mean, the cool thing about it game wise was
what's its typing?
You use dive, and dive was a new technique, but like dive was also pretty useless. It's just water, and both the evolutions are just water. So that's really where this begins and ends. This is, what I actually think it's good for. It's good for the part of the game where you're just collecting the Pokemon, and it's like, oh well, this Pokemon to fill your deck, so you're gonna have to like trade it. You're gonna have to get it from underwater. It's like, it's not good for battling. It's good for fun catching mechanics. Pokemon like this would be more interesting in like Scarlet and Violet, where it's open world and catching Pokemon is a little bit less frustrating. But yeah, I wouldn't use it.
No,
I definitely wouldn't. I wouldn't use it. So yeah.
No, but it's not a complete wash. Let's just put it that way.
No. You want to hear a Pokedex?
Yeah.
Okay. Hit me. Clamperl grows. I want to say growls. Clamperl growls while being protected by its rock-hard shell. When its body becomes too large to fit inside the shell, it is sure evidence that this Pokemon is getting close to evolution, which really lends more credence to that idea that like the little pearl on the inside is basically a fish egg. So it's interesting. It's a good concept. Not a great battler, but that's fine. Move on
for sure. Yeah, ready to do it. Like I would if I caught it. Move on.
Yeah.
Cool. Move on.
How you been?
Doing okay. Birthday's coming up next week for the podcast itself and myself. So I got a trip, doing my annual birthday trip, going to Niagara Falls, going to see the folks beforehand because it's actually quicker to just go from there than it is from where we are, despite it being in New York. But we are staying in the New York side. We will be when we go to see the falls, we will do the Canada side. People keep saying the Canada side of the falls is more beautiful than the New York side. And I'm like, it's the same falls. So I don't understand, but
Maybe the
I
vantage
wanted
points are
to,
different.
yeah, maybe or whatever. Yeah.
I was so
But we're
little
gonna
when I
do
went
the,
there, I don't remember. I'll be
yeah.
honest. I think it was like 7 or 8. I don't actually remember it, but I did go to the Canada side, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, we're gonna go to the Canada side, just to say that we did it, I think, at the very least. But yeah, so excited for that. I saw a little movie last night.
Ooh.
Went to a press screening for John Wick 4.
Oh, very cool.
Which I have been excited about. Every trailer that I've seen, I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be mind-blowing. And let me say, the action
Mm-hmm.
is, you think, how can they top the previous films? The set pieces in this film are unbelievable and
Hell yeah.
mind-blowing,
Hell
of
yeah.
like, yep, like, you guys figured out a way. I don't know how you pulled any of this off. I don't know how, it's crazy that this a lot of this has to be CG in some way, or like, taking, and I think it really speaks to the idea of like using CG to enhance things that are happening in the real world rather than setting them in the real world to sell them more. But there are just moments where I'm like, how did someone not die making this movie? I just don't, like, people have died making Transformers movies, and those are just giant CG robots
People
fighting each
died
other.
making Wipeout.
Wait, what?
That TV show Wipeout. Yeah, didn't someone die?
Oh, I have no idea.
Or maybe
I
they were
have
just badly injured.
That's what a way to go. That
Yeah.
sucks. I mean, badly injured, I can see. That I tell you, there are some times
Yeah.
when I see
Yeah.
clips from Wipeout where I'm like, someone broke their neck.
Yeah.
Like, that must have been what happened, probably, right?
Yeah.
Um, I'll tell you what, you put John Wick in Wipeout though, he ain't dying, because this man takes some tumbles in this film and just gets the fuck up. I also think it has some of the best side characters.
I mean, I'll tell you what, Tom. You're saying
Mm,
all the things I want to hear because as much as I like the first one and even the second one, the third one was my favorite, even though it's the most outlandish
okay.
because of
You
the
are going to
weird
love
world building.
you are going to I think 4 is going to be your favorite,
I'm
because
so excited to hear that.
I am the inverse of you. I love 1 and 2. And 3 for me, while the spectacle was obviously such an enhancement, and it kind of like, I don't want to say parody because parody is the wrong word, but it played into the like memeability and like the
It
like,
leans into the ridiculousness of the world and it
yes.
becomes it becomes a little bit anime-esque
Mhm.
almost.
Oh, and this is
This is the most anime shit.
I can't, like,
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil anything, because even if you've like seen the trailers, like, you get a hint of what is coming. I promise you, there are moments in this film you are not prepared for. And the amount of just like cheering that was happening in
Great.
specific moments, like, so great. So the spectacle is great. I also think it's a step up from 3 in terms of the villains,
Yeah.
and the side characters, and I think it has some of the most fun side characters. That being
I
said,
love that. How's my
I
man Broyles? Lance Reddick.
I am not going to say a fucking word
Oh,
about what
okay.
happens with
I
that
mean, no, I'm
character.
just
But
saying, like, is he good?
yeah, I mean, he Lance Reddick is always good.
Great.
Uh,
Love it.
yeah. Don't want to say any more about
Yeah, no,
that.
that's
I
fair.
think
I didn't want to hear more than that.
there's a lot of satisfying moments with all of the characters that we've kind of. I mean, really, him and Ian McShane are the only ones that are from previous films. Everyone else is, and Lawrence Fishburne. Everyone else is kind of
It
like,
was
new.
what's her face not in this? Halle Berry?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I thought she was gonna be in this. Maybe it's part two.
No, so she's in chapter 3. Yeah, I don't want to say
Yeah,
anymore
no,
because
that's
like
fine.
there's some stuff that they hint at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, um, that being said, well, the spectacle is amazing, and I do want to, I saw it. It was a press screening. It was a regular theater. I do want to go see this again in Dolby.
Yeah.
That being said, it fell into the same issues I had with chapter 3. and that is like there is just no story at this point. In chapter
Well,
1,
there's no grounded story. There is a story, but it's like a cartoon.
but it is literally, at the end, I love chapter 2 is like far and away my favorite because I think it has both amazing action and there is like a story actually happening, and there is like and there is like
the problem is chapter 2 ends on a cliffhanger.
But ever since the end of oh my god, the end of chapter 2, when he shoots that guy in the hotel, like I remember like not being able to breathe. I was like, oh my god, what have you like? And Ian McShane's line delivery of like, what have you done? I just like remember that so vividly, and that's what I felt in my heart. But since then, it's just like, okay, John Wick's on the run, and he has to fight everyone on the planet, and that is what this movie is. And it. I don't want to spoil things with where it goes with the story, but I don't think that it satisfyingly like addresses like so many characters in the movie are like, where does this end, right? They say that to him multiple times, like, what is the end of this? And the answer to that question I don't think is necessarily very satisfying, and I just think that
it's probably also not truly coming until part 5 because
you will have to watch this movie. And
well, I'm just saying there's two more there's part 4 and part 5, so it's
did they say that there's going to be a chapter 5?
Yeah, it was a 2-movie thing. Yeah,
okay, because this very much feels like part 2 to chapter 3. Like if they had been like, we're doing chapter 3 part 1 and chapter 3 part 2, like this feels like the second part to that film rather than the beginning of the next 2 chapters. But I could be completely wrong on that, and I'm like, well, this is going to be the most successful John Wick ever. They've got spin-offs coming. Like, we're going to get a chapter 5.
Apparently,
but
sorry, chapter 5, I misspoke, is not 100%. They were going to make chapter 5 back to back with chapter 4, and then the pandemic happened. But they are saying like they're still open to doing chapter 5 and like looking at it. They probably want to see how much money this makes.
Well, it's projected. The opening weekend is projected to be the biggest opening weekend for any of these films. So,
when is it coming out?
It's coming out in like the end of the month, like the 24th. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like two weekends basically from now. Yeah. I mean, it's gonna make a ton of money. Yeah.
There's a lot of movies.
I'd be really curious where they take this with a chapter 5 if they end up making one. But and the world is just so cool. But yeah, we'll talk about it more when you've seen it, because it's a movie that if you really want to talk about it, you have to have seen it. You have to talk spoilers, all this stuff. Yeah, sure. So I think if you liked chapter 3, and I mean I like chapter 3, but it is lacking, I think, in a way that 1 and 2 are not when it comes to like story. But if
he's in a playground,
and that is like the playground just got bigger and more expensive, and has more fun characters, I think, than chapter 3. Yeah, bottom line, you'd like chapter 3, you're going to love chapter 4. Cool. If you had problems with chapter 3, all of those problems are just as present in this one as well. And that's where I'll leave that. So yeah, saw that last night, which is great. Other than that, I've really just been playing Destiny with the new expansion. I talked with Tuna about it, committing to it, getting the challenges, because I have a lot of people now in my realm who play it consistently, who are able to shepherd me. And with the beginning of Lightfall and the new seasons and the kind of resetting of everything, like power levels and things like this, taking as much of an advantage as I can with all of that. So I've been playing a lot of that. When I spoke to Tuna last week, I'd beaten the campaign of Lightfall, which I think is a step down from the Witch Queen campaign from last year, and that seems to be a common consensus just when it really comes to story. But there are a lot of really great quality of life improvements. There's this thing called Guardian ranks now, so when if you were to jump in, for example, it would be like, cool, you are Guardian rank 3. You've completed like the base campaign. You've done like this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
You want to jump a Guardian rank? Here are the things you have to do, and then next Guardian rank, here's the list. So it is the most welcoming in a bunch of ways to new players,
Sure.
and returning players. But at the same time, there are I've been playing a lot, and I still feel like I've barely scratched the surface of,
Yeah.
and there's so much that I'm like, I just don't understand. Like champions, there's like champion bosses, and you need certain things to equip to take them out. And
The game feels kind of impenetrable, I think, to people that don't play it
it's
anymore.
still very impenetrable.
It's kind of
I
always
think
been that way. And like every year, they're like, all right, we're changing our economy. Okay, we're changing our rating system. We're changing our upgrade path. We're gonna make it. They just keep doing it. And it's like, well, maybe you never found something, because at the end of the day, I think games of service aren't ultimately that satisfying from like a narrative perspective. And like this is the only way that we're really going to get that, because it's the only way it financially makes sense, I guess. But you know, I'm really starting to think, unless it's like a multiplayer thing where you're playing like, like a Fortnite, these games of service things just don't seem to really land.
Well, which is funny because Fortnite now it is kind of like gone on to the thing where it's like we have a story. Like every time a new chapter
Sure,
comes
but no one
out,
gives a fuck about that.
but they are trying. They are trying to make that a thing.
Yeah.
And they're like, let's bring in The Rock, and he's gonna be like the thing. And it turns out like the islands of these universes.
Yeah,
and
but
whatever.
theirs is so. I mean, theirs has like a coherent story, like in the way that John Wick 6 will, because their coherent story is like, well, the Marvel's Avengers have invaded after Star Wars did. It's like, it's just a bunch of nonsense. Like it's the equivalent of a kid going into his toy box and being like, and then hold on, oh, Shredder showed up. Like
it really is like that.
That's what it is.
It is really like that. That's funny.
So, like,
yeah. No,
but
I
enjoy
totally
it.
agree. I totally agree. I
Cool.
wish there was a way that they could put out some kind of like, if you are just in it for the story content, because the story is really cool, and I think with Witch Queen they really hit their stride and kind of funneled the story. It kind of became this like expansive mess, and they were, I think, able to kind of rein it in. And even though I'm disappointed in the Lightfall story, it's not because I feel like it's messy.
Yeah.
It just feels very much like I had seen comments that were like, Lightfall was meant to be, it was meant to be the Witch Queen, and then we were meant to go into the final expansion, which is the final shape. And they seemingly decided to put another expansion between those two. And it very much feels like they took the beginning of what would be the final expansion and drew it out and like put in a bunch, because it's like,
well, we're at they said this was a 10-year game, and we're at year 10
next
right?
year. 2014, which will be when, in theory, the final shape
2014
drops.
It came out.
Mm-hmm.
Destiny 2 or Destiny? No, because Destiny was on the original Xbox.
Well, 360.
Yeah,
and it came out in 2014.
I don't know why I thought it was earlier than that for some reason. Okay.
No, 2014 is when it launched. Which is crazy to think that it's gonna be 10 years. After, I just remember like the E3, like just like so much hype going into that game. So I think I'm definitely 100% like sticking, like I'm gonna give this season like a real college try in terms of doing all the challenges and getting, like, the raid comes out tomorrow. If you're listening now, the raid is out, and I will be at the light level, or the power level now is what it's called. I will be at the power level necessary to play that, and I didn't think I'd do it. I'm like, I'm fucking here. So
you've done raids before, right? Or no?
Yes, but like long after they've been out. So like this is, all of the past raids, they are available from like a power level standpoint. They are available from the base power level, that like the reset. So the reset set everyone to 1600, and all the raids are available at that power level.
I see.
But you need to have a power level for the new raid that's coming out tomorrow. If you're listening now, it's already out. 1780 is the power level you need to be at, and like I literally need like one more piece of gear.
It's also weird. We're like, all right, we're resetting everyone. We've got these new power levels. We're gonna start it at 1600.
Yeah, so
You're all there. You're all at. It's like, well, then just call it 0 or 1 or 1. Like, what a strange number to pick.
Well, it's all based off of where it's all built off of every season like expands by like every season expands by 10, which is like there's soft caps too, right? So
well, you gotta have your soft caps.
Yeah, so regular gear soft caps at 1750, and then
I say you got to
get powerful gear, and then there's pinnacle gear, and then the way to max power level is you need to like upgrade the highest level pinnacle gear you can get, and that will give you the max level for the season. And then at the end, everything jumps up by 10. So the soft cap is increased by 10. The powerful cap is increased by 10, the pinnacle. And then once it gets to the new expansion, everyone is reset to whatever the new base is. It really is impenetrable, and you have to like.
I mean, I gave up on it. Yeah. I stuck with Destiny for the first few years. And then Destiny 2 came out, and then I gave it 2 more years. And after year 2, I think year 3 was when I finally, it was like, and then I've tried getting back in. I tried getting back in last year when you were like, I'm going to get into it. And I opened it up and I started playing, and I'm like, what are we doing? I'm like, I've been here. I know what this is. I'm not doing this again, but good for you.
I mean, it's just, for me, fundamentally, and I said this too, I think it is the best feeling first-person shooter.
Oh yeah, the way the gunplay feels, I personally put it up there along with Halo. Like they both have a very similar stickiness.
It feels like the perfect blend of a Halo with a Call of Duty. Yeah. In the most general, broad terms possible.
Yeah, because you move around a little faster in Destiny.
You move faster, you're moving a bit slicker, but the way that you're aiming, like all of that, like it definitely borrows from Halo. And I think like at the end of the day, I am fundamentally like, I got to knock out these, like literally right before we recorded, it was like, to get this pinnacle gear, I have to do Crucible, PvP. Just jump into that, get a few matches, and like, oh, it's so satisfying just to play. So yeah, doing my best. So that's really all I have been up to, other than just life this past week.
No PSVR?
Oh yeah, been playing a little bit of that. I have honestly just been focusing on trying to get through Call of the Mountain. I'm probably closer. I just fought. I know that your back has been acting up, so I don't know if you've made it. Like, have you beaten?
So I haven't gone back into Horizon, but partially because I'm still just kind of like playing everything and seeing what games I like the most first.
Yeah.
But I have not gotten very far in Horizon. I haven't gone back to it because I want to play that standing up.
Yeah, you gotta be able to at least turn around and stuff. I feel.
Yeah, I did play a lot of sit down stuff though over the last 2 days, which I was mostly able to do. I will say the sit down VR stuff is a lot better than I thought it would be. I thought, I don't know. I thought it was going to be like kind of lame to not get to walk around. It's way easier if you can walk around, because anything that requires me to like go up for something or down for something, sometimes I have to go into the menus and adjust my height, because it's like, oh, I can't reach it because like I can't push down far enough because I'm already so low, or like the thing's above me and I can't get to it. Mm-hmm. So that can be a little annoying if you're playing sit down. I'm sure people have run into that, but it's really good. I've mostly been playing PSVR 2 for the last like 2 weeks is like what I've done. I can talk about that stuff, but I am curious. Did you touch Inkulinati?
No, because Tuna didn't play it.
How did you know he didn't play it? You asked him?
Last week he hadn't played it, and I'm almost certain that he hadn't touched it this week, and it was just one of those things where it was like, it just kind of was.
Should we just keep it for another week? If because you're not going to even be here next week.
I'm not going to be here next week. All
right, so we're gonna keep this game going until the week you're back. We're
Okay.
gonna take another pause on this because you'll be gone, so you're not even gonna play whatever other game we play.
And
I
my
will
plan,
tell you,
yeah, go
I,
ahead.
I bounced off of it so hard. I tried playing it twice and I did not like it.
Oh, well, there we go. Maybe that's
So
what happens here. Interesting.
yeah,
I want to hear what your thoughts are on it.
I just think I think it's a game I wouldn't like.
Okay.
So that's like part of the problem.
Do you think
is,
Tuna will like it?
I don't know. I think the answer is no. I think this is a game Alex could have liked in the past, but I don't know if he'll like it now because his time is so obviously structured and strict. It's a game. It feels very dense. So it is just kind of like a combat game. It's not really like a story. It's in game preview, and part of the
Oh,
problem with being
okay.
in game preview is kind of like what was that game? Yomi Hustle. Your only move is hustle.
Oh, your only move is hustle. Yes.
There's very poor, I think, onboarding with this game because there's so many like systems in it of like stats and like attributes because you're basically doing it's like a little bit of like a tactical battler where you're on a page and it's all like horizontally scaled, so it's not like hex game or a tile based game like Final Fantasy. It is just like on a piece of paper and it's just columns. It's just columns across that you can select. So there aren't rows and columns. It's just the columns. And you're like putting up either barriers or different types of fighters to like try and set up your little battalion against whoever like you have to fight against. But the like characters you pick feel very obtuse because like you can toggle like a help screen and you can put it over like your cursor over one of the characters and you just get this huge sheet of information. And there's so fucking much here that like I immediately was like, I'm not trying to read this right now. Now, partially that's because I'm on muscle relaxers because I threw my back out last week, which is why I wasn't on. So it's just hard for me to like really focus, to be honest,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm still on those meds. But I was like, okay, I tried it the first time and I was like, no. And then today I was like, I'm gonna try it again. I loaded it up and I couldn't get through it, dude. Like it is not a game for me, I think, because it's one of the kind of games that you want to have to read. Like it feels like the kind of game
One
that
of these
if you're
reading
into like
games.
if you're into like a
No, but
dense
I get you.
tabletop, it feels like a dense tabletop game where you're going to be like, oh, before I play this game, I'm going to have to like go watch someone else play it and have them explain it to me and read the rule book. And then hopefully I'll be able to know how like it. So I don't know. I think it's maybe because it's in game preview and they do a bad job, I think, tutorializing you through it, but it feels a little too dense and like, I don't know, boring, which I think isn't helped by the game just being this sort of like very classical specific type of art. It's a very quiet game. There's not a lot happening ever. So it's like
it's so funny you say that after we had such a great time with Pentiment.
But Pentiment had a story, so there was something happening that I could follow.
Right. But it seems that this game is like more active than Pentiment is.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that
it like is and it isn't. Is okay. Sort of
okay.
It feels like I'm going to lose in this game because I'm losing like to the rules, because like I have to like I'm gonna have to spend a lot of time learning like how you're really supposed to play this game, like learning what the systems are. And I'm sure they're not actually that dense and they're probably not too difficult to get through, but I don't want to play a game that I feel like I'm gonna have to sit and like fuck around with and understand like what it is. It doesn't present itself in a good way, and that makes it very difficult to bother with. I think it's good that it's on Game Pass because people probably wouldn't want to play it otherwise, because like I wouldn't have tried this game now seeing what it is. But you might enjoy it. Like if you're the kind of person that likes games with like minis and you want to read about the different characters and what all their attributes are and stuff like that, you might be into it. But
you said minis, that's my trigger word.
Except you're not going to get like to paint minis in this.
No, I know. Yeah.
But yeah, it's I think it's an interesting idea. I didn't like it.
Okay.
But we'll see. We'll see if Alex checks it out next week, and then we'll let you pick, I guess, the next Game Club game when you get back. So that way we can reset, because we were like, let's bring back Game Club, and we didn't even make it through 2 rounds yet.
we've played we've done 3 games, haven't we? We've done Pentiment. We
Yeah.
did what's that fucking
Piku Niku.
Piku Niku. We played a substantial amount of Hi-Fi Rush.
Yes.
I feel like
No,
oh,
I
you
know,
mean
but then the
2
last,
cycles.
so then we
Gotcha.
start the next cycle. You guys were like, I didn't really
Gotcha.
play this game. And I was like, yeah, I didn't really like it either. And now the second game we're ready. But that is why we are saying, like, hey, if we don't like it, we're just not gonna play it
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
end.
We're not gonna be. We're all even busier than before, so
Yeah.
and more old.
Tom, how about that Survivor?
I haven't watched this week's episode.
Oh,
I did watch it's just one of those because we don't watch live because reasons.
Oh, we did watch live. It was like fun to be like, oh, it's 8:00. I gotta go turn it on.
Yeah. Well, we do that with Last of Us.
Yeah,
Like,
but that's
we
not
watch
the same.
and no, it's not, but it's that is our weekly.
I see.
But I mean that's ending this week.
Wait, that's over this week?
Yeah, final episode this week.
Wait, what? I thought it was 10 episodes. It's 9?
It was originally 10 because HBO shows usually are. The first episode when they were in editing,
Wow.
because the first episode was meant to end with.
This is gonna be a long ass episode, isn't it? This is gonna be like a movie.
Not.
What?
It's like an hour long.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
There isn't actually in terms of the game left, and the big thing with this season has been like they really cut any moment where there's gameplay, pretty much like it just doesn't exist in the game. That if you just watch this show, you would think that that in the game there are no clickers, or they're very few and far between.
Sure.
The amount of times that they like meet clickers and like have to fight off the clickers in the game, like that there's way more encounters.
Yeah, I would assume
they show up all the time, which is interesting with this show because part of it is like, oh, the clickers feel way more, and the infected or whatever, because clickers are specifically the ones with the mushroom heads. They feel way more like if you run into just one of them, you're fucked. And in the game, you're just like tearing through them pretty quickly.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, no, there's only 1 episode left, and the whole reason is that it was meant to be 10 episodes. They shot everything, they got into editing, and the first episode was meant to end with like basically like the flash forward to Joel in Boston and like showing like, oh, he lives in the Boston QZ. And then the next episode 2 was meant to be like we introduce Ellie, and episode 2 was going to end where episode 1 ultimately ended at. But they felt that not having Ellie introduced in the first episode, not having them meet, was didn't feel right. So they
that feels like a bad idea.
They condensed those into a single extra long episode, and now it's only 9. So yeah, no, this is the final one. And yeah, in terms of I would say in terms of like actual story beats left, like there's only really one major story beat left, and that's the end of the game. There's a lot of gameplay that would happen, and we're probably, gonna obviously condense all of that. But yeah, no, one more week of that.
That's crazy.
But yeah, no, I haven't watched Survivor this week. I did in pulling up the thumb for fucking because we talked the premiere on the post show last week, because Tuna hadn't watched any more Lost. I have, by the way, so we will be able to talk about in this week's post show, which you can access if you go subscribe to Spartan Subs, become a Spartan member on the Discord to access our post show. Talked about the premiere, pulled up a thumb for the post show from last week, and got this week's fucking thing spoiled. And I'm pretty sure that they're one of the people that I have.
Well, I was just about to bring it up when I brought up Survivor, that we're doing between the 4 of us. We drafted players. So on my team, I have Matt Blanks, which is like the curly haired nerdy Matt.
Yeah.
I have Sarah, Danny, and Carolyn, who is one of the most unhinged people I've ever seen on Survivor. She's like a drug counselor who very clearly was like a former drug addict.
Yes, well,
or
clearly
still
a former
still
addict.
might be.
Well, I mean, if you're an addict, you're an addict for life, right? Like that's what they talk about.
Sure.
Like you never are not an addict.
It seems like she might be like totally fine, maybe
She
harmless,
gives
but
me-
also she's just so burned out.
But she does give me the vibes because I think she was the last person left in our like it was a default. Like I think you got her
I got her
it was like the
because
last
I had
person.
first pick. I also had last pick, so that's why I got her. Yeah.
But when I was hemming and because the problem is after the premiere, I felt like this was the first season in a while where I was like, I don't have any feeling. Unlike the previous season when we first meet Cody, for example, or who was the Clara, who was the like big? She had the nose piercing. She broke her finger last season.
I won't remember by name.
There were a couple of people
Yeah.
who made it far in the game who I was identified immediately of like
definitely.
Cody being one of them of like I think you're gonna go far. After the premiere this week and after everyone like got broken and bruised,
it's a wild premiere.
I was like, I don't know. And then like people just haphazardly like, I'm just gonna play my shot in the dark. I was like, I don't trust any of you to make it very far. So when we were like, we're gonna do that
orange team, I think is going down. If I had to guess, if I had to be like, who's going down, which team is gonna get like removed first, I would guess it's that orange.
Were the orange ones they went to tribal in the premiere? Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, they've got the energy there is just like we don't know what we're doing. Like we're really fucked. So it was really tough to pick because I just didn't feel sure about anyone.
Sure.
And with Carolyn, I know that she ended up in our lost. Like she was the leftovers. You got her.
Yeah.
But a part of me was like, I don't know. There's a part of me that feels like she's gonna be an outlier. She
might go far, but she's not gonna win.
No, but we are playing for points, right? That we did decide that we're not.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ultimately, but I in my head we were playing for points, where however far someone makes it to get you a certain amount of points. Well, so I don't know. We'll see.
If you are listening, like our little boat boy, I know our boat boy is probably listening. He's got a Survivor podcast. I have Matt, Sarah, Danny, and Carolyn. Dan has Carson, Jamie, Kane, and Josh. I think Kane's really good, actually. He's like one of my favorite people. I got to tell you, this season, great cast. I think this is the best season since they sort of reboot the format already. Alex got Yam Yam, Claire, Brandon, and Matthew. And then, Tom, you have Heidi, Lauren, Franny, and Helen. Oh, you have all women.
Yeah, historically not in my favor, but it was kind of that thing of like, I'm pretty sure like all the men by the time it got around to me the second time were like all picked.
Sure.
And who were the top two in my list?
Heidi and Lauren.
Yeah, Lauren's the one with the birthmark on her neck.
Yeah.
She already has an advantage. We know that. And she just seemed like she's got a little bit more strat to her.
Yeah.
And then I think Heidi is the older woman who was like, I'm going to make the fire. She just kind of seems like I am a sturdy older person that can get far. And then, but I mean, honestly, by the time we got to my second round of picking, I was like, it's like,
I think Franny is really good. I actually wanted to get Franny.
Okay.
So I think you got some good ones, but so yeah, we're all watching Survivor now. That's happening, I guess.
Yeah. Exciting stuff.
I do want to talk about some PSVR 2 games.
Yes.
So I love it, Tom. I love PSVR 2. I've played so many titles. I bought a lot of PSVR 2 games because I didn't have any of these. You've played a bunch of them on Oculus, so I'm sure there's less games that you're like, oh, I'm excited for this because you've already been able to play them on the Quest. But now, for me, I didn't have any of these.
Yeah, no, totally.
So I spent a lot of time, I'd say, this week because I can't like walk around and play. I can't do room scale. I've been playing 2 games in particular. I almost finished the last Clocktower. The last Clocktower, Tom, is so fucking good. Yeah. I love
people
this
really
game.
like that game,
and not just as like a VR title, but like as a video game, it is fun. the general conceit to this is it's sort of like a puzzle game, but I wouldn't call it an escape room. It's each room will have, or most rooms will have this puzzle that you have to solve. And it's all kind of done with the same concept where you will create clones of yourself. So let's say, like, I have to get this item in a bucket on the other side of the room, but I need to automate it. If you've ever played any kind of like engine building games, I believe it's what they're called, like Factorio, this is basically a VR engine building game, because what I'll do is I'll make a clone of myself that picks up the item and then throws it, and then another clone of myself that catches it, and then another clone of myself that, like, sometimes you have to like break it or cut it. And so then I just watch and they just keep going and going and going and producing more of like whatever the economy that I need is to get through that space. So, like, there was a room the other day where I had 18 of my clones. And when you make the clones, they look like little Star Wars droid robots. They're just kind of floating with
Okay.
arms ahead. And there's
Uh-huh.
just these little droids, just 18 of them, just clockwork. It's like Santa's, like, Christmas toy gift creation room. Everyone's in the workshop and they're just like clockwork doing their job. It's so funny when you like solve it and look through the rooms. It's a lot of fun. But the sense of scale that VR gives you that makes it like so enjoyable. It's like the graphics are fine, it's a nice art style. Um, the story is okay. It's got this like kind of interesting story going on in the background. Like, because this clock tower is mysterious and it's in a giant tree that's in the ocean, and you're basically in the same room all the time, but you can pull a lever and like set different coordinates, and the middle of the room will drop out and the whatever new room you want will like enter into it. So it's like you're changing this like revolving floor space that you're in all the time. It's very cool. I highly recommend, if you have a way to play this game, to play. I don't know, I'm assuming this is also on Quest, right? This isn't a
Yeah,
exclusive
it's on
title.
something else. I'm pretty sure it is Quest, but it's just one of those games that is like there's a couple that are coming and have, I guess, are on PSVR too. I'm really annoyed because I thought that, part of the reason where I finally bit the bullet on this fucking thing was that knock game that I mentioned,
Yeah,
the
but
bow
that's
and
supposed to
arrow.
be out like this month.
It's coming out, but
Yeah.
I thought they were available at launch.
Oh,
I
okay.
thought they were launch day titles. So
Yeah.
I was all right, gonna download another Fisherman's Tale.
Yeah.
Oh, it's I thought launch day, not launch window. And yeah, they're eventually coming. I've got plenty of things to keep me busy, and
Yeah.
I kind of want to treat VR how in a similar way to how I want to treat regular gaming, but it's just impossible in that I'm tackling one thing at a time. And you're in a space where it's like you're new to VR, so you want to try, you want to
Right.
sample
Yes.
everything, you want to get
Yeah.
everything in. I'm at this point where I'm like, I know I'm not going to be putting this on, despite the fact that this is easily the most comfortable and easy to put on headset outside of something that doesn't have a cable. It's still going to be my limited compared to my overall gaming time. So like, and
Sure.
as someone who has kind of
Until
tested
there's a game
everything,
that makes you want to play it.
but I will
Yeah.
say, like, Horizon is way more of a game
Yeah.
than I thought it was going to be. There is like I fought a Thunderjaw the other day. I don't know if you've gotten to this point in Horizon, the
No, I
really
haven't.
big, like T-Rex
I
esque.
haven't yet.
Oh, dude, I cannot wait for you to play this moment because I know Jurassic Park is like your favorite thing,
Yeah.
favorite movie ever.
I've played the Jurassic World Aftermath game on it. It's pretty good. Kind of spooky.
Well, so the part where they have you like face off against the T-Rex is kind of terrifying because you just hear it in the background constantly like
Oh, getting
moving and
closer and
doing
shit.
shit. But it feels like it's always like on the
Mm-hmm.
other, and then like you'll see like the top of it like crest, and I'm like, oh. And I played the level when Brooke was like out. She would like went out last week, and I was like, great,
Yeah.
perfect opportunity for me to get a ton of VR time in. And I put it on, and I was like, the Thunderjaw level, and I have to move through here, and this thing is prowling, like looking for me. And then it turns out there's two of them. I was like, I should have waited until Brooke, like just knowing that like there was another human
Yeah.
to in the apartment and
Yeah.
everything. The the fight when you fight this thing, holy shit. I had to like wait because I kept trying to play it, but my thing kept fogging up because I was like perspirating so much. Yeah, I can't wait for you to play that level because as a it feels
Yeah.
intense.
Well, so
Yeah.
I bought these foam squares, that you put on the floor and they snap together. So, there's just
Okay.
like big foam, like 2 foot by 2 foot foam
That you're
squares.
standing on?
So I basically was setting the garage up and then I
Oh,
threw my back
right,
out
right.
so that I could
Yes.
do full size. I could do 12 foot by 12 foot room scale in the garage, which would be sick.
Yeah.
It only cost me like $60 for that much flooring. It was like $30 a piece, like for, like half that space. It was great.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's totally worth it. And I just, fold it up when I'm not using it. It's fine. You should try. Have you done Jurassic World Aftermath?
No.
All
No,
right,
no.
you should check out Jurassic World Aftermath because I had that scary experience with it. Tom, it is very much like the game is so far. I've only played like 45 minutes because that was one of the first things I wanted to try out. And it's just so tense the whole time because you're just alone. So you don't like have like a weapon. Like you're just fucking like hearing like, oh God, there's a raptor in this building. I don't know where it is. Like, is it in that room? Is it in this room? Like, is it gonna come get me? And these things just fucking jump out at you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try RE8 at some point. I'm gonna wait till my back doesn't hurt because I'm expecting that I will jump in that game.
I love Resident Evil Village. I'm like a new Resident Evil fan. I played 7 and both 7 and 8 loved them. I'm so excited for 4 remake to come out. I booted up Village because I already own the game and it's just like a free expansion
Yo, if
to
4 has a VR thing,
it will. They said that
I'm gonna
they're
play that
working on
game
it.
entirely through VR. Then.
Oof, okay.
Because that's
Yeah.
the only Resident Evil I've beaten start to finish.
There you go. Yeah, it won't be. I don't think it's coming out with the game at launch at the end of the month,
Right, so I
but
might
like
have to
it
wait.
will. But Village has its VR mode up, and you can play the whole
Yeah.
you can play the whole of Village in VR, and Village is a ton of fun. I think it's a fantastic game. But I started booting that, and it has like a VR tutorial.
Yeah.
And so I played through that, and it's actually even cooler in some ways too. I think Horizon overall is a way more immersive and impressive package when it comes to how you like reaching, grabbing your bow and stuff. But like, for example, the first thing in Village that you in VR that you pick up is your knife is on like a sheath that's on your forearm. So you reach over and like actually grab it from your forearm to pull it
Sure.
out. I'm like, that's sick as
Yeah,
hell.
that is cool.
And like your ammo, like you can see the ammunition for your gun is on your side. And
Okay,
so,
that's like Pavlov.
which I do
Pavlov
want to
has it.
play
Oh,
with
dude.
you. Yeah.
Now that's a fucking. You want to talk about a fucking
People
game
love
ass?
that game.
That's a
Yeah.
game. It is hard. You're
Well,
really
yeah, I
like.
imagine.
So I'll say one thing. I've heard people use the term like your VR legs, and I thought it was more about just kind of getting used to it. But at a certain point, like if you're going to be disoriented, you're going to be disoriented. I actually think that's untrue. I got a little dizzy the first day or two I played it, like period with the PSVR, and then like I've slowly gotten to the point now where I can play full like stick movement if I want, Tom, and I'm not
Yes.
getting dizzy. And when I
Agreed.
first
I'm
started
in that.
Pavlov,
Yeah.
I was like, whoop, 15 minutes and I'm done. And then
Yeah.
now I played for like an hour and a half the other day,
Oh, wow.
and I was like, fine.
Is Pavlov only stick movement? Because I got to say, I love what Horizon has done with this like arm motion.
Oh, I didn't use the arm motion. I thought it was
Oh,
so
really?
stupid. I thought it was so fucking dumb.
Well, it gives you a little bit of like you're moving to make the
I
movement
know.
happen. So it, I think, helps with that a little
It does. But I felt like I was playing like a Connect or a Wii like plus game where I had like the Wiimote and the nunchuck because that was like that's how you would move in like the
Yeah.
like whatever the
Yeah.
Donkey Kong game where you had to fucking. I was like, I'm not doing this bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when I tested Resident Evil 7 on the OG PSVR at like New York Comic Con when that was coming out. And that was the first time I did like stick movement in
Yeah.
VR. I had done a little bit of VR before that, testing it out. I was like, I like had to leave the booth, and they were like, "Oh, is it too scary?" Or I was like, "I am gonna throw up."
Yeah. Yep.
But it is something now that Resident Evil Village does the same thing, and in that demo, I was like, "Oh, this is fine now." Like you get used to it.
I think the trick is like you have to kind of start to learn how to like you do like just like the slightest bit of movement. You train your brain that like, oh, like if I'm gonna run forward, I kind of lean a little bit while I'm doing it, just like the tiniest bit. And I've gotten used to that. So like when I'm turning, even if I'm turning with the camera, because let's say I'm sitting right now, as long as I like move a little bit, like it does the job of not making you want to vomit.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pavlov is very cool. That is a very cool game. Getting through the tutorial, like I was such shit at first. Like all of my shots were missing, and it is tense because you're like, I would say go do a bot game. I did a bot game first. I did a gun game where like basically you have to get a kill with every bot with each gun to win. And there's all these bots running around. They're all dumb as fucking bricks, which is great because I'm moving slow, I'm turning slow because I'm getting used to it. But then like when you have to reload, you need to like with one hand, press a thing to drop out your ammo, then grab the new ammo with the other hand, stick it into the gun,
Yeah.
pull the fucking thing back. And it makes it so intense because sometimes you'll get into a room with a couple people, there'll be a shootout, and then you and the other guy are both having to reload. So unlike every other video game where shit will keep moving fast, you're both just like standing there, like frantically, like, oh my God, let me get my fucking gun, let me get my gun. And then like sometimes like I mess it up. So I just run over and I try to use my knife to stab them, which is so much more intense in a first person game than like, it like the melee kills are always so kind of lame in video games. You're just like, and they're dead. This is like, I got the knife and I had to like get up close to him enough and like to actually like stab him. It's kind of crazy, dude. And getting shot is kind of fucked up.
Yeah,
it's really weird, dude.
Yeah.
But it is a cool game. I'm glad that someone is doing that stuff. I also tried Cactus Warfare, which is like this like it's free to play. So it's a free to play like World War II shooter where you're a bunch of cactus versus worms.
Okay.
It's supposed
Plants
to be like
vs.
a
Zombies.
D-Day. Yeah, it's like a D-Day thing. It's free. You should just download it and
Yeah,
try it.
yeah.
It's super dumb and it's kind of janky, but it was fun because you're just in this. The thing I love, it's the scale. It's all about scale with VR. It's like literally like all of these insignificant things when you're playing a game feel significant.
Yes.
And it makes me enjoy playing these VR. So, like I loaded up Halo today because I was like, I need to see those new maps. I want to check them out. And as much as I enjoyed it, I'm like, I feel like I'm growing a separation between these two things where I feel so much more hands off now in Halo. Like everything feels like so different from what I'm doing in VR. That like it's weird to be like amazed by like, look at this cup I can pick up and look at.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like, oh, Halo new maps aren't
in Horizon they have so many like just there's maracas.
Yeah.
Over here. Or
you can interact with a bunch of the foliage.
Yeah, that in the Thunderjaw level, you get to a point where there's like a whole table. You've come across in the earliest?
I've come across the tambourine and something
there's
else.
There's the gong. Remember,
yes.
There's like a gong, and then there's a double. There's like something you have to hold with two hands to hit it. In the Thunderjaw level, there's just like a table that you come up to that is just covered in like plates and cups and bowls, and then there is just lying on the floor the gong hammer.
Oh my God.
I'm like, well, I'm gonna go to town on this, and I'm just smashing stuff.
You're like Gallagher.
Or I'm doing things where I'm like, I spent like 10 minutes in Horizon the other day doing things where I'm like, let me see if I can like throw stuff into the air and like punch it like over the cliffside, and like watching it. The great thing about like having the PSVR 2 as opposed to something like the Oculus, I mean, it's gonna sound so obvious, but the computing power of like,
oh my God,
I can throw something and I can watch it go into the distance, and I'm watching it bounce off of something in the distance, and like all these things. It is an incredible. It makes the mundane. I think this is just another way of saying what you said, but like the mundane things about like video game design that you just don't notice or like are just part of a tapestry, like they all become like this little intimate, incredible experience.
Everything matters in VR.
Yeah.
And that is not true. In fact, most games, the majority of things are just set dressing to like really immerse the player in it, because you're inherently looking at a character at a screen. Whereas in VR, you're in the world. So now suddenly things that shouldn't like don't matter, they matter. Like and they can be low poly, and it somehow like gives me like a better jolt in my brain than like this really like well detailed like like
Yeah.
if I walked into an office in a video game and it was like amazingly detailed, photorealistic, or I opened up Job Simulator, I'd be like, yeah, but this like 12 polygon plate is so much more interesting than everything I'm looking at on that screen. You know?
Yeah. No,
Um,
yeah.
One thing I did in Horizon, which is similar to what you were saying, was I got up to like an area that were like plates and bowls and everything everywhere. So I was trying to throw it in the air and then shoot
Yeah.
it with my bow and arrow. I came so close, Tom.
Wait,
I came,
throw it, like do
Yeah.
like
So
because you would have to really.
I kept the
Oh, I
bow
guess it'd
out
be
in the left
equipped. Yeah.
hand, right? So I kept the bow in the
Yeah.
left hand. So I just with the right hand picked it up, threw it up as high as I could, immediately pulled back. I got really close. I never did get it though,
Fuck,
but I
I gotta
spent like
try that. I
15
haven't
minutes
tried that
trying.
yet. Yeah.
I spent a lot of time trying to do it. Top. And then I ran out. There were no plates or balls or anything left, so I had to stop.
Yeah. And I Horizon, the other thing, I don't think it's necessarily like the killer app, right? Of
Yeah.
like this is 100% like you have to. I still feel from what it sounds like Half-Life Alex is that experience.
Sure.
But with Horizon, it's like with the bow and stuff, how quick, how forgiving the game can be in terms of like, grabbing an arrow, pulling it, aiming, like all this stuff. It's forgiving, and yet at no point does it feel like what I am doing is illegitimate and like it's giving me the
I love
shot.
using
It's
the bow
giving
and
me
arrow.
the
Feels
kill.
very good, and I'm also really
Yeah.
happy it's unlimited arrows.
For the basic arrows,
Yeah.
yeah, because you can customize and all that stuff. I tell you, in the Thunderjaw level, you need them. The
Okay.
blaze arrows and I mean, it's one of those things where it gives you ample opportunity beforehand. It's like, how in the earlier levels, when you get like the ability to like add like shock arrows, you open up a case and it's like, oh, there's 2 little spark plugs. Like right before the Thunderjaw, like final boss, you open up a thing and it's like this the whole barrel.
Oh my
And
god.
one by one, you have to like,
Is this
because I
like
was
basically
doing
the
them.
end of the game? Are you at or
No,
almost?
no. I think I'm probably like entering the final act of the game based on like, did you get to the area where like
Probably not.
the hub
No,
area?
not yet.
So there's a hub area and it kind of lays out, there's like a table and the missions are like kind of maps that are placed on the table.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking like I'm probably like 2/3 of the way through. But before, every time I would get like a spark upgrade or any of the upgrades for the arrows, which you find in the world, and you have to like pick them up and like let go of them and they add you to the inventory. I would be intimate with it. I'd be like, oh, I'm picking up and I'm looking at it. Like I'm
You want to
picking them
hold
up with
it.
intent.
Yeah.
In that Thunderjaw bit, when I was getting to the end and it was like, it was just like placing these things in front of me constantly. I was just like boom, 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 like quickly like snatching them, like not even like real, like the moment I touched them and had clocked that I was picking it up, like I was letting it go immediately just to like get to all of them. I'm excited for you to once you're able to get more into that one.
Yeah.
It's cool stuff.
The other game I do want to say quickly, Puzzling Places. I spent a lot of time playing this. It's so fucking good. It's basically a 3D jigsaw puzzle, kind of like those ones you can buy in boxes, the 3D jigsaws.
Sure, yeah.
Like I'll put up like the images of the thing I'm trying to make on my side so I can just reference it. And then I've just got it. First of all, the eye tracking is great here. All these games need to be using eye tracking. That's like the one complaint I have. Like the last Clocktower would be a better game if it used eye tracking. And the way they should use it in these games is as sort of a version of auto aim. It should be like an auto aim compensation so that if you're throwing it and it's close to like I'm throwing a thing and I need it to land here and it's like close, don't make me do it 50 times. Like use the eye tracking, and if it's like if I'm looking there and I'm throwing close enough, it should like magnetize it. Like,
which is what Horizon and like other games that are more built for the system.
And Puzzling Places will use your eye tracking, so it makes it a lot easier to be like, because I'll have a grid up. Let's say, what's actually what I love is you pick a model. It's like, oh, I'm going to build this, Buddhist temple, right? I can decide, do I want to do 25 pieces, 50 pieces, 100, 200 pieces? So you can pick how many pieces it is. And then you have a wall up in front of you, and it feels the most like any interface has actually ever gotten to the oh my God, what's the one with Tom Cruise? Minority Report. It feels like the Minority Report because I'm pulling up
Top
like
Gun
the images
Maverick.
on the side, right? And then
Yeah. Yeah.
and then I have this huge grid of pieces like far out in front of me, and I'm like, I want that one, and I want that one, and I want that one, and then I'm picking them and I'm moving them all around, and I'm like making my own like little, and I'm like, no, this picture's incomplete. I need this one. It like feels very much like that. Like it's so stupid because I'm just building a jigsaw, so it's like a very relaxing, fun game. But weirdly, the way you interact with it in VR is one of the most satisfying VR experiences I've had so far.
Hell yeah.
I would highly recommend this if you want like a chill out VR game that you can just like play on your couch, because this is one that's like great for sitting. So
You gotta try Moss when you get the chance.
I'm going to. I didn't want to start. The reason I didn't do that or Horizon yet, because I also started Cosmonious High, which is like amazing if you like the job simulator, vacation simulator stuff. This is like them doing like actually it feels like a real game. So that's very cool. But I don't want to start the story ones until I'm like, okay, I'm gonna play this game straight through. And at the moment, I'm still like,
Testing everything.
I want to
Gotcha.
see all the different games. Like the last Clocktower, I'm gonna finish. I'm probably gonna just keep playing that now until I'm done with that, because I was like, oh, this one grabbed me, and it has like a bit of a story, so I'm just gonna go through it. Moss might be next though, because I really liked Moss when I played the first one. So yeah,
Sweet.
do a little news.
A little news.
What we got?
Nothing huge this week. A couple of things regarding a little PSA for people. PlayStation 5 now has in its latest update the same Discord voice chat support that Xbox does. So now, I mean, other than Nintendo Switch, it's never going to come to a Nintendo Switch, but the big two consoles we care about now support Discord voice chat pretty seamlessly. So that's just something to keep in mind for everyone. We use it now pretty intensely now that, when we play on stream and stuff. So make sure your PS5 is up to date and utilize that. Starfield got a release date. A new release date after being delayed from last November, September 6th. So it is missing the first half of 2023, which is what they had said they were going to try to hit when they delayed the game from last November. And basically they said that we're doing our big Starfield Direct is what it's going to be called, which they had said they were going to do when the January developer Xbox Direct happened. That's going to be hitting June 11th, which is going to also be the day that the summer Xbox Game Showcase is going to hit. So it's going to be Game Showcase first, and then a deep dive into Starfield after that. In the vein, I think, of what Bethesda has done in their previous E3 conferences, like with Fallout 4, where it was like 45 minutes of Fallout 4 gameplay. Are you excited about Starfield? Beside it just being like a big Xbox title?
No.
Okay.
Well, I've not really gotten into their games, like period.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember watching the video and being like, this is cool. And then I remember thinking, I wonder if this is it. Because I wouldn't put it past them for this game to come out and it feel like it's actually still kind of empty and unfinished. This feels like one of these games that they're planning on making and working on for a long time. I don't know if that's actually true. Maybe they'll surprise me at the showcase.
Sure.
But I remember watching it and being like, this looks awesome. And then the more I thought about the game, like as time went on, I'm like, I don't know if I will enjoy playing it. I just don't like to simulate stuff that much. I'm not good at putting myself in the role of the character when the character feels like you're telling the character what to do and I'm not actually the one playing it. And I'm like kind of moving this toy around is sort of how that feels. Like that was a problem I had with like Red Dead. Like Red Dead's not it's a game that I feel like should have felt more like an action game in it, but the combat is kind of so crappy and like input lag is so important. I mean, that's like and I
always
just
a problem with
this,
Bethesda games is like gameplay is kind to the world building and
that's very
depth.
not for me, you know. So that's probably part of why I fell off of Inkulinati, because I'm like, I don't care about any of this stuff. Like, I don't care about anything you're presenting to me because you haven't presented a part of a game that I enjoy to play yet. And I think the reason Pentiment gets around that is because that game's like, oh, this is a story. Basically, the whole reason you're here is the story.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's an easier sell for me than, well, you're going to have to do things mechanically like a game would, but they're not like the enjoyable part of it. It's the story. And it's like, well, then honestly, just get rid of a lot of the game for me. Just make the game part more streamlined if you want me to focus on the story. Don't make me feel like I have to do stuff I'm not enjoying. But again, that's a very pessimistic view of it. Maybe it'll be awesome. I know visually it looked really cool. Like graphically, it looked awesome. I like scanning stuff. I like Metroid Prime, you know?
Oh,
Scanning
you
stuff is
gotta.
cool.
Speaking of VR, you gotta. I jumped into No Man's Sky VR, and I'm very impressed with that experience.
I looked at it. I like started a campaign yesterday, but apparently I should have picked some other thing that was like more streamlined. I guess I think you even told me.
Yeah, there's two.
There's
there's like the classic version, and then there's like one that is like we have streamlined some of the systems for.
I don't think I did that. So like when I loaded it, I was kind of like, oh, I don't know about this, but it did look very cool. It was awesome being on.
Do the 30 minutes to like fix your ship and then like take off from the planet. Oh my god, so cool.
Okay, I will do that then. Yeah. Because that would be fun because we could do No Man's Sky together.
Yeah, we can multiplayer. Yeah.
So that would be cool. Did you see the new Mario trailer?
I did.
I
am so stoked for this film, man.
I gotta say, I'm over Chris Pratt. I still think it sucks.
It'll be it'll be weird for 5 minutes, or it'll be like, oh, and then we'll be totally sold. I gotta say, I am surprised how much they seem to be doing with, and maybe I shouldn't have been surprised. I really just thought it was going to be like, we're going to take the characters in this world, but the amount of like gameplay aspects that they're seemingly replicating, like there's a shot in it where Mario kicks a brick and Kong gets fire powers and Mario eats a mushroom, becomes big, and then we see them like run through like a side-scrolling level. I'm like, this movie is gonna rule. This movie is going, I think, to
Did you get your ticket?
So hard. No.
Oh, I got my ticket. I'm going with Matt, I guess they're available, Emily and everyone. It's gonna be a big crew. I'm very excited for that.
Well, that's the thing, is like I probably should coordinate with Dan and Tuna, right? Like I feel like should do that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. If you're listening now, in my future, but in your past, unless you are, of course, listening to us live, which you can do if you become a Discord subscriber. I got an email from the like PR company that reps the Nintendo store here in the city the other day, and they were like, hey, it's Mario Day on Friday, we're unveiling something at the Nintendo store for Mario Day.
The Mario boots.
If you'd like to come, we're not going to say what it is. Like, it's a big surprise. And I was like, oh yeah, I'd love to be there. And watch this fucking Nintendo Direct. And it's like, and we have a special surprise for everyone. We are unveiling the boots from the Mario movie. We've replicated them. They're going to be in the Nintendo NYC store. I was like, this is what it is. Like the boots, like it's not going to be like a like,
I mean, did you see those Astro Boy big red boots?
Oh, right. Well, that's what I thought immediately off, like that meme that's going.
I mean, that's
around.
That's what I would assume as well.
But like, I'm just like, are they life size? Do I get to wear the boots? Like, what? So I am in some ways even more excited now to go check it out. But yeah, that was yeah. So the boots.
They also they showed off the new maps coming to Mario Kart. Very excited. So many. The game is unbelievably massive.
They actually came out today, or yesterday, and so Birdo has now been added to the roster, and they when you boot up the game now, apparently there are slots for 5 more characters. So it seems like we're going to get even more Nintendo characters in the game. So
it's like Mario Kart 9, right? Come on. It's like weird at this point because the thing that sucks is they're kind of tied to this engine. Like if they just keep making, if this is like, the Mario Kart, kind of like if Smash Ultimate, like if there was not another sequel, it's like, so okay, we're probably going to get a Mario Kart 9 because that would be a dumb amount of money for them to miss out on. But then it's gonna be a game that has so many less things than Mario Kart 8 does.
Yeah.
So it's sort of in this weird kind of spot. But who knows? Maybe they won't.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be like an upgrade to the visuals, but it'll just they import those maps and they run it on the same engine or something. No idea what the fuck their plan is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go see that 65 movie this weekend, or I thought I was.
Oh my god, is that coming out this weekend?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got a 25 right now on Rotten Tomatoes, so I'm definitely gonna go see this movie.
Oh my god, really?
Sorry, it has a 24.
Has 20... Oh no.
This isn't
Driver.
news, but it's movie news. I'm so excited for this now more than anything because I know that it's basically gonna be Adam Driver trying to like act his way out of a paper bag, and it's gonna be so funny. I cannot wait.
Which is so like the thing going into this movie that is being hyped up is like it is an Adam Driver movie, and like I mean, granted, look, no matter how you feel about the Rise of Skywalker, he was locked in. He was in. I mean, he obviously gives a great. He's always great, but he was locked into that. Like he had to do that no matter what the script was.
I want
Adam Driver. With Adam Driver is like he is so specific. Oh, he would actually be a great Doom. That's great. He is only ever in a few movies because he's so picky when it comes to scripts. And so people were like, oh, an action movie and it's dinosaurs in space and Adam Driver's doing it, so the script must be good. 24. That's low. That is real fucking low. Yeah,
it's really low, Tom.
Oh my goodness. I had no idea that it even...
I'm excited.
Yeah. I'm
excited. Yeah. I'm going to go see that and see Creed 3, which I'm excited for.
Dude, okay. Real quick about Creed 3 before we continue with the news. I rewatched, just like threw on in the background, I rewatched the first Creed, which I hadn't seen since it came out in theaters.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it when it came out in theaters.
Yeah.
And I watched Creed 2 for the first time. Just crying during both of these movies.
Yeah.
What fucking phenomenal films those are.
They're very good.
And I'm now so stoked to go watch Creed 3 because
it's a shame that Michael B. Jordan is going to die in this one because he's going up against Jonathan Majors.
Yeah, he's going to get his shit.
I'll tell you right now, if they think 65 has a bad, unrealistic story, anyone walking out of the ring with Jonathan Majors that's not like a current heavyweight champion, it seems like one of the most infallible. I'm watching that trailer and I'm like, he's like, Michael B. Jordan, get out of here. No. You're not going to win this.
Well, I mean, and that was the thing I loved about Creed 2 so much is like the way that they handled like, it's so good. If you haven't seen the Creed,
they're very good movies.
Fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Wow, you weren't lying. At 24% on for this movie. Holy crap!
I had no idea it was going to be that low. I'm excited for it now.
Oh my god, this is a great quote from the Daily Beast's review from Nick Shaga. 65 is set millions of years in the prehistoric past, and its ideas are only slightly younger. Damn.
Amazing.
Incredible. Very cool. Don't worry, guys. Joe Blow's Movie Network gave it a positive review. There we go. Yeah. Wow. Holy cow. Well, there you go. All right. Back to news. Suicide Squad is reportedly delayed. Nothing official from Warner Brothers, but Jason Schreier is saying that internally he's received some information that the game has been delayed. It's a little confusing because the headline reads, Suicide Squad has been delayed after fan backlash. In reading the article and like understanding what is happening here, it's not necessarily in response to, it just is happening after the, like it is literally sequentially happening after there was backlash, because it's all about like polishing. So even if there was positive reception to the game after its recent showcase appearance at the State of Play, I still think it would have gotten delayed. But yeah, this I'll spoil it. I counterpicked this after this announcement today. I think Tuna has the game. as I've said before, this game is exactly like Avengers with less popular characters.
Much less popular
Like
characters.
Harley Quinn is the only one that can really kind of go toe to toe. Everyone else is
Yes. I mean, there's characters like people don't
popular.
know who some of these, like, you know.
Yeah, Captain Boomerang, unless
Yeah.
you've seen, I guess, the Suicide Squad movies, because I guess they're in all of them. But yeah, no, it's getting delayed. We don't have any idea on a new release date. Warner Brothers probably won't say anything until officially until they have something secure. But a delay is not going to fix the issues that people have with the game.
Correct.
In order for that to happen, they'd have to scrap it entirely. And I just feel bad for the developers. It must really suck in this final push. And I think, the reason that they've been so cagey is they knew that there would be so.
Yeah.
When Arkham Knight, when that last game came out and they were starting to think about the next project, Destiny was only a year or so in, and like all of these live service games that have now come and gone hadn't even like come out yet. And this just speaks to trying to chase a trend. Like, just don't do it, especially in game development, because it takes you fucking forever.
I'm done with
it. So yeah, so we don't know when that's going to come out. Resident Evil 4 remake demo is available now, so if you're excited about that, there is a demo out now. I don't think it's like the progress carries over to the main game, which I love. I love when games do that now, because that's why I'm with Warlong Fallen Dynasty, which I've also been playing a bit of. Like, the first chapter is available and then the progress carries over. I think this is something that is like a slice of, like, it's not in the game, it's made as a demo. Bust out that old Resident Evil 4 GameCube chainsaw controller, because I think it's called like the chainsaw demo or whatever. You had that, right? The chainsaw controller?
No, I've talked about wanting it. I wish I had it. It's the stupidest controller ever made. I love it. So dumb. It's big yellow chainsaw with GameCube controller buttons just fucking slapped all over it in the weirdest places. The idea of like playing that, like, I mean, that game was probably like 20 to 30 hours, like maybe more.
I've never played RE4, so yeah.
I want to see how long this is. I think it's not a fast game. Oh, it's 15 and a half hours. All right, so closer
still
to 20 hours. I mean, that's nuts.
It's more than 5 minutes with that thing in your hands.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's insane. Any other news? You want to do a quick question?
No, let's go to questions.
Email at unrankedpodcast.com. Love getting your emails. Call into 805-738-8692 or 805-RE-TUNYA, TUNYA. Love to hear from you, or go to the show notes. Questions for the pod link is in the show notes for the Discord. I got one really long one from Slater we're going to do.
Hell yeah.
From the official Tuna Fan Club, Slater, question for the pod. Why isn't sugar pronounced sa-gar? There's no goddamn SH there. Who the hell does sugar think it is? The scary thing is how common the word is, yet no one is talking about this. How are we letting this happen thousands, if not millions of times a day? It's disgusting that we say sugar and move on with our lives. Why have we accepted this? It's like a JFK assassination conspiracy, but the shooter sat in the grassy knoll for a picnic after the shot was fired, and we declared that the president was dead from old age. Who's covering this up? Easy answer. Big corn syrup. Got the market covered, and it all makes sense. How the hell do we supposed to import the stuff if we can't even pronounce it correctly? Completely decimated the sugar industry with one grammatical anomaly. For years, our trade partners haven't understood what the hell we were asking for. As a result, we're sitting here like weenies, drinking Dr. Pepper with artificial corn sweetener while we keep pronouncing sugar like we have a speech impediment. We don't deserve sugar. By the way, if I die from corn syrup related drone strike, I sent numerous envelopes with this message and a picture of Joe Rogan in the nude kissing Tupac to my local news stations. Anyway, I'm sleep deprived with an infant in the house. Suck it. And they phonetically pronounced suck it, just so that.
Suck it.
Yeah. But they pronounced it as if it was spelled like sugar was. So S-H-K it.
Right.
Shuck it.
Shuck it.
Shuck it. I mean, English sucks,
dude. It's so inconsistent.
But then every language is It's fucking
Yeah. The English in particular is pretty broken, and like I try to. It's so funny when
I mean, it's
like
because it's such an amalgamation, right?
Brooke. Yeah, I mean, yes, and it's so funny. I'll try to explain. Brooke is Brooke is not very good at the English language,
Sure.
and so I will try to explain when she asks, and she asks me questions. Like the other day, she was like asking, like, "Do I use than or then in this sentence?" Right?
Sure.
And I was like, "This is when you use than, and this is when you use then." Like, just trying to help her, like in the future,
Yeah.
remember, so I don't have to fucking get asked dumb questions. And but then like sometimes when she asks questions like that, I'm like trying to explain it like logically of like, oh, this, and then she'll be like, but what about this thing? And I'll be like, yeah, it's just like that. It's an anomaly. It doesn't follow the logic, and ultimately, like, yeah, the English language follows zero logic. Yeah, so it's just a bad language. The most expressive though, more words in it than any other.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
and so many of our words just keep getting updated. People are always like, "Oh, now YOLO is in the dictionary." It's like, but that's literally the point. That's literally the
Yeah.
point of updating the dictionary is to keep the language alive. The people that are like, "Oh, we shouldn't have these words. It should be more formal." It's like that is why languages die. Languages die when they become too formalized and they don't change or adapt.
Colorus Domine.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Horus Requiem. Yeah,
Oh my
exactly.
god.
Yeah, let's just all go back to Latin. Simple. It had a
Simple.
logic to it.
Yeah.
Some might say impenetrable logic.
Yes. I would say that. If they were like, all right, we're getting rid of daylight savings time, but we are all switching to Latin, I'd be like, all right, I'm leaving. I'm going somewhere else.
Italy.
Yeah.
They don't speak Latin.
I'll just go to Canada. It's right there.
Yeah,
Just let me
yeah.
keep what I have.
No, you
I
got
don't
to speak
know.
French though.
I
And
mean,
not
depends on
even
what part of
French.
Canada
It's
you're in.
also like a not real French at the
I'm
same
not going. I'm
time.
not going to that part of Canada.
Oh, gotcha. Toronto.
Yeah.
Cool city.
My back hurts, and we have to do a post show, so we're gonna close this up
Okay. All right.
because I am uncomfortable. Muscle relaxers only do so much.
Yeah.
So Tom, tell them about our Spartan program.
Join the Spartan sub, become a Spartan subscriber. Yeah, we have a Discord, which you can find in the show notes. And if you like what you see there, and if you like the podcast, you want to listen to it live, get access to the post shows, and a bunch of other things, you can become a Spartan sub. It's only $4.99 a month.
Yeah,
It's a
be
steal.
Spartan sub,
Cheaper,
Spartan
literally
simp.
cheaper
You
than
can
the
be a Spartan
coffee that I
simp.
bought today. Spartan simp. Oh, I like that. I like that. Fuck it. There's no more Spartan subs, Spartan simps.
Stay ranked, everybody. I said stay ranked. Stay unranked.
Whoa, holy
I
shit.
told you the med
Being
man.
ranked can suck it.
Yeah,
all
being
right?
ranked
Being
can
ranked
suck
can
it.
suck it.